I just want to make a short introduction. Rupert was one of the earliest supporters of the World Yoga Festival. Completely not knowing us at all, we approached him and said, please, please, please come and talk at our first ever yoga festival. And the thing that went through his mind is, I don't do festivals, but for some reason, he couldn't say no. To this day, we don't know why he couldn't say no, but he said, of course I will. And he came and supported us on our very first festival in 2016. And we've been grateful to him ever since for his support. He's fabulous and draws enormous crowds. And he's got even more famous in the last few years with his direct path teaching. It is really a fantastic approach, a direct way of trying to see the reality of what is non-dualism is at its finest in terms of explanation. With Shonali and I have listened to Rupert for many years prior to 2016. We've always enjoyed those talks, and it's a real pleasure to know him. And he's not very far away from us, and so he can just tootle along and come to the festival, and it's always a pleasure to see him there. So without anything further ado, I'd like to invite Rupert. Thank you so much, Rupert. Real pleasure to have you on our Sunday talks, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Rama. Can you all see me and hear me? Yes, you can. Good, lovely. Ram, thank you for your kind words. It's true. I have to confess that you and Sonali are hard to say no to. I think it's because of your beautiful hearts and the beautiful intention you have to share this understanding with so many people across the world. So it's true, I am compelled on account of your generosity to always say yes to your invitation if my schedule permits. So thank you for inviting me here today.
Definitely.
So hi everyone. I've got my gallery view on, so just looking at you all. Thank you for coming to visit me in my sitting room in Oxford this afternoon. This wonderful platform that enables us all to feel that everyone has come to visit them in their own sitting room, wherever we all live around the world, like Indra's net. So that's beautiful. I see a few familiar faces and lots of new friends too. So welcome, everyone. So everybody loves happiness above all else. And for this reason, everybody seeks happiness above all else. And most of us seek happiness through the acquisition of objects, substances, activities, circumstances, states of mind, relationships, etc. And whilst these may seem to give us brief moments or periods of peace or happiness in our lives, they don't give us the lasting peace and happiness for which everybody longs. In fact, I would suggest that the reason that each of us is here in this gathering today is precisely because our search for peace and happiness in objective experience has failed us. And as a result of this failure to secure happiness in the world, we have approached a religious or spiritual tradition in the hopes that it may be able to provide the happiness for which we long. Indeed, the search for enlightenment is simply a refinement of our search for happiness. None of us would seek enlightenment if we thought that it would make us miserable. On the contrary, we seek enlightenment because we feel that it is our last chance for happiness. So I'm sure that there are people here from numerous different religious and spiritual traditions. And whilst each of those traditions may formulate the understanding that lies at their origin in very different terms, if we were to distill the essential understanding of each of these traditions into a single phrase, it would sound something like this: happiness is your nature. Or you are happiness itself. So this is the great understanding, the great open secret that lies at the heart of all the great religious and spiritual traditions. Happiness is the very nature of ourself. And it is for this reason that self-knowledge is really the core of all the great traditions. It's why the words "know thyself" were carved above the entrance of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. Indicating that true knowledge of oneself lies at the very foundation of Western civilization. So what does it mean to know oneself? It means to know what we essentially are. Everybody knows their self to a degree. If we were to conduct a survey of all 7 billion of us, and we were to ask the question, do you know yourself, or do you have a sense of being myself? Everybody would answer yes. Everybody has a sense of being myself. And in that sense, everybody knows their self. But not everybody knows their self clearly. Not everybody knows who they essentially are. Why? Because most people's knowledge of their self is so thoroughly mixed up with the content of their experience, that is, their thoughts, images, feelings, memories, activities, relationships, etc., that whilst they know their self, they do not know their self clearly. And it is this lack of clear self-knowledge that is responsible for the obscuring or the veiling of the peace and happiness that is the very nature of our self. If we want to have access to our innate peace and joy, it is first necessary to know ourselves as we essentially are. How do we discover what we essentially are? We simply discard everything that is not essential to us. When everything that is not essential to us has been discarded or let go of, then only that which is essential in us remains. We do not become a new or a spiritual or an enlightened self as a result of this investigation into our true nature. Our essential self, our true nature, is simply revealed as a result of this exploration. It's the example I sometimes use is the example of getting undressed when we go to sleep at night. When we go to sleep at night, we take off or discard all our clothes. And when all our clothes have been discarded, our naked body simply remains or is revealed. We don't suddenly become a naked body. We are always essentially, relatively speaking, a naked body. But most of the time it is covered with clothes. It's exactly the same thing with our naked self or our naked being, our essential being. When we take off all the layers of accumulated or conditioned experience that is not essential to us, our naked being or essential self remains. We do not become our naked being or essential self. It is simply revealed underneath the layers of conditioning or experience. So let's embark on this exploration now. Ask yourself the question, what element of my experience is essential to me? Only that qualifies as myself or I. Take, for instance, our thoughts. Are any of our thoughts essential to us? Obviously not. Our thoughts are continually appearing, existing briefly, and vanishing. When a thought vanishes, we do not feel that a little bit of ourself vanishes with it. Thought is simply something that appears to us and then disappears. We are that which knows or is aware of the thought. The thought cannot exist without us. We can be without a thought. So thoughts are obviously not essential to us. They do not go into the make of our being. Our being is prior to thought, independent of thought. Likewise, no memory is essential to us. Memories are continually appearing and disappearing in our experience, and often there are no memories present, but we are always present. Likewise, whatever emotion or feeling may be present, it is not essential to us. Our emotions and feelings are continually appearing, existing, and then vanishing. They are like clouds in the sky. No cloud is essential to the sky. The sky is essential for the clouds, but the clouds are not essential for the sky. We are simply that which knows or is aware of the emotion as it appears while it exists. And after it disappears, we remain ourselves simply open, available, present, aware of the next experience, whatever that might be. No sensation of the body is essential to us. Take the tingling sensation of your face or chest or hands or feet. All of these sensations appear, exist for a while, and then vanish. None are essential to us. We are that which knows or is aware of them. Likewise, our perceptions of the world, sights, sounds, tastes, textures, smells, all of these are continually appearing, existing for a certain amount of time, and then vanishing. We are that which perceives them. We are that which knows them. We are that which is aware of them. In other words, we are nothing that we are aware of. We are simply the fact of being aware, or awareness itself. Being aware, awareness itself, is the one element of experience that never vanishes. Just take a moment to check this in the truth of your experience. I hope I'm not going to say anything today that each of us cannot check in our own experience and validate or verify for ourselves. Whatever each of us was thinking, remembering, feeling, sensing, or perceiving 2 hours ago has long since vanished. But whatever it is that was aware of whatever we were thinking sensing or perceiving 2 hours ago is still present now, aware of whatever it is each of us is currently thinking, sensing, or perceiving. Everything, apart from the fact of being aware, changes, disappears. The fact of knowing, being aware, or awareness itself is the one constant factor in all changing experience. It is, so to speak, the ever-present background of all changing experience. Just as the transparent screen is the ever-present background of the constantly changing images in a movie. Whatever each of us was experiencing 2 days ago, 2 years ago, 20 years ago, has changed. But the awareness with which we were aware of each of these experiences remains the same. The awareness with which each of us was aware of our experience when we were young children is the very same awareness as that with which we are aware of this experience. Nothing ever happens to awareness. It is ever present and changeless. Just as, relatively speaking, nothing ever happens to the screen upon which innumerable movies play. Just as no movie harms or stains or destroys the screen, no experience hurts or scars or destroys awareness. We, awareness, are always in the same pristine condition. Notice also that we, awareness, are not just the knowing element in all experience. We are not just the witness of the witnessed or the knower of the known. We, awareness, are also the space or the medium within which all experience arises. Every thought, image, feeling, sensation, or perception that we ever have arises in awareness or in consciousness. And I use the two words synonymously. See now if you can travel with your attention outside the field of awareness. See if you can encounter something with your attention that takes place outside awareness. It's obvious that our thoughts and feelings take place in awareness. What is not immediately obvious is that our sensations of the body and perceptions of the world also take place within awareness. the only place, if we can call it a place, where it is possible for any experience to occur. So we could liken our self-awareness to a vast, unlimited space or field within which our entire experience arises. And notice that whilst the content of experience may be agitated, for instance, our thoughts and feelings may be agitated, we, the space of awareness, or the presence of awareness with which these thoughts and feelings are known, and in which they appear, is not itself agitated by them. We awareness are, as such, like the open empty space of a room. We are all now sitting quietly and peacefully in our rooms, wherever we are at home. But we might not be sitting peacefully. We could be dancing, we could be fighting. The space of the room would remain exactly the same. It would not share the agitation of our activities. In other words, it is just as it is the nature of the space in our room to be unmoved or imperturbed by whatever takes place within it. So likewise, we, awareness, are never disturbed or agitated by whatever takes place in experience. We, awareness, are simply open without resistance to all experience. We do not need to be made open through effort or practice or discipline. It is the nature of our self-awareness to be open without resistance to all experience, and unharmed, unmoved, undisturbed, unchanged by experience. And this is what it is meant in the traditions when it says that our nature is peace. We, awareness, are inherently peaceful. And our innate peace has nothing to do with what does or does not take place in experience. Just as the stillness of the space of the room in which each of us is sitting has nothing to do with whatever does or does not take place in that space. The peace of our true nature does not depend upon the condition of the mind, the body, or the world. It is not necessary to change the content of experience in any way in order to have access to the inherent peace of our true nature. Just as it is not necessary to turn off the movie in order to touch the motionless screen. We are free at every moment to soften the focus of our attention from the content of experience, thoughts, images, feelings, etc., and allow our attention to come back to ourself, come back to awareness. Awareness, give our attention to the objective content of our experience, thus, in most cases, overlooking or forgetting our own presence. And then we, awareness, soften the focus of our attention from its objective content, and we come back to ourself. This coming back to ourself, this return to ourself from the adventure of experience, is the essence of prayer or meditation. It is the direct path to peace and happiness. And notice that just as nothing that takes place in experience disturbs ourself, the presence of awareness, so nothing that takes place in experience adds anything to us or removes anything from us. Just as nothing is added to or removed from the screen when a movie begins and ends. The screen is always in the same whole condition. So likewise, we, awareness, are never aggrandized or diminished by experience. We do not stand to gain anything from, nor lose anything from experience. This does not mean that we, awareness, reject experience in any way. No, we, awareness, are totally open without resistance to all experience. But what it implies is that we, awareness, have no vested interest in experience. We do not approach experience from a sense of lack, seeking to be fulfilled or completed by it. We, awareness, are already self-fulfilled, complete, whole, in which nothing is lacking. And the common name for this absence of lack is, of course, happiness. Hence it is said that happiness is our nature. A happiness that is prior to and independent of the content of experience. What I am suggesting is not a reason for disengaging from activities and relationships. The implication of what is being suggested is simply that we should not engage in activities and relationships for the purpose of seeking peace or happiness. If we seek activities and relationships for the purpose of finding peace or happiness, we will sooner or later be disappointed. And as a result of this disappointment, conflict will inevitably begin in our relationships. This is not a reason for not having relationships. It is simply a reason for not seeking peace, happiness, and love in them. If we want peace, happiness, or love, we should find them where they live, where they belong, that is, in our own being. And then seek an activity and or a relationship in which to communicate and share and express and celebrate our innate peace and joy. The reason this approach is sometimes referred to as the direct path to peace and happiness is simply because in this approach we go directly to the source of peace and happiness, that is our own being or our own self. We do not go via an object. And when I say an object, I do not mean a physical object. I mean any objective experience. In other words, via thinking, feeling, acting, perceiving, relating. We go directly to the source of happiness in ourself. This is the essence of all the great religious and spiritual teachings. Happiness is the nature of your being. Know yourself as you truly are, and you will access your innate peace and joy. This is the most important thing anybody could ever discover. And having discovered it, it is then up to each of us to express and communicate and share this understanding in the world. There is no greater contribution we could make to humanity. So why don't we begin our conversation now? Please feel free to ask about anything you like.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please do.
Hi, Rupert. This is Gayatri.
Just wait till we can see you on the screen. Sorry, who is it?
Gayatri. I think my name shows up as G-A.
Have you got your camera on?
Yes.
Ram, can we have Gayatri on the screen?
I can't see a name beginning with GA.
It just says only G-A. I don't even think it says the whole name. I'll check again.
Just go down into the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, Gayatri. You'll see a start video icon.
Yeah, I can see myself and you.
I think, Rupert, you've got to put her on speaker view, then you can see her.
All right, let's first of all unpin the video. And
I just sent a hi in the group chat, so
there we go.
It will be clear what my name shows up as.
I think.
Yeah,
okay.
It says G-A.
Okay, I can see you. I can see you in the little icons. That's fine for now. Let's go ahead. Hi.
Hi. So when I'm actually concentrating on what you're saying, I can't come up with a question because I need to shift my focus to, think of the
Absolutely
question.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, so it's really impossible. But when I was listening to you earlier in the day, maybe I can just refer to something, it doesn't have to be like from this particular moment, but the one that I feel dominates our human experience for me is, like you said, that, don't look to relationships and people to fulfill you and come from knowing of this place. But sometimes when you're interacting with family, I'm sure you kind of know that a lot of people have this experience. You may not be going in there to get the love and affection or fulfill yourself from there, but it goes you can experience feelings within yourself, and you can try and remind yourself that I'm awareness, but at that time you can't even really remind yourself because you're really in it. You can't be aware of the fact that I'm not this person that I've been taken to be for all these years of my life, and I would like to be able to live in the truth and not just have an understanding of it.
Yes. So it's true that families are intense yogas for most of us. So whilst you may very easily be able to sit quietly alone on your sofa at home and recognize that you are the presence of awareness with which all your experience is known and within which all your experience arises, or when you're walking with a close friend in nature, it's relatively easy to feel this. It's much more difficult, as you say, to feel this when you are with a family member who presses all your buttons and all your own old habits of emotional reactivity come up in the face of this person, child, sibling, parent, whoever. But actually, the situation is no different. It may be more difficult. Your trigger, your reactions may be triggered far more easily in the face of a family member than they are when you're walking quietly in nature on your own. But the fact remains the same. You are the presence of awareness with which the unfolding conversation with your family member is known and in which it appears. So I recommend using the relatively neutral times in your life when you're sitting alone at home on your sofa to establish yourself, to be knowingly the presence of awareness. And then when the bar is raised, for instance, when you're with your family, at some point we find that our family loses its capacity to trigger us, which means loses its capacity to persuade us that we are the old conditioned person. It loses its capacity to take us away from being established in our true nature of awareness. And we may find ourselves one day in a family situation, and our brother or our mother or our father or our child, whoever it is, behaves in such a way that would previously have triggered us. And now we just feel like the open space of awareness. There's no resistance to it. We don't have to defend ourselves from this person's behavior, because space never needs to defend itself. It cannot be harmed, so why would it defend? So no need to defend yourself from your family member's behavior, but nor do you feel hurt or upset or triggered by it, which means you remain present, just witnessing or being aware of whatever is being spoken, and you are able to respond to it with love and intelligence instead of responding to it as you might previously have done in the past, namely with conditioned emotional reactivity. And therefore you bring to bear in this tense family situation, your presence, at least to a degree, brings the peace and the joy and the love that is innate in your self-awareness. You bring it to bear on the situation. That is your contribution to the family dynamic.
So may I understand that as for a little while, if I'm able to stay without interacting or without putting myself in that situation. For instance, right now it's a lockdown anyway, and let's say I'm living on my own right now. And a second before I came onto this call, there was a family Zoom call going on. So for things like that, I may not even join. I mean, it wouldn't really make a big difference over there.
You could not join, but this, sorry, remind me your name again.
Gayatri.
Gayatri.
Gayatri mantra.
Gayatri, okay. Gayatri, it's true, you could simply not join, but this would postpone the situation. Now, you might argue legitimately that if you were not to join a family Zoom for another month, this would give you some time to establish yourself in your true nature so that when you returned to your family Zoom, you were better prepared. I would recommend that you continue to attend your family Zoom conversations, and that you explore what I'm suggesting in the midst of the family Zoom conversation. You may be a little quiet, you may not contribute too much, you may see all the interactions and the dynamics going on between everyone. You may feel your old reactions being provoked, but instead of entering into an argument, you just think, oh, that's just an old conditioned reaction being provoked. I'm not going to buy it this time. I'm just going to watch it sail by. And you'll find in no time at all that you are able to face your family openly, with love, and to respond appropriately.
I thought what you were recommending is that for a little while, practice it on your own, that when you're alone,
that's fine, Gayatri. It's for each of us to give ourselves to the dose that we need. If of course, I don't know your situation. If your family situation is extremely inflammatory, then yes, maybe take a step back for a while, consider what is being said, and then slowly re-engage with your family. For others, there may be a little tension in the family situation, but it may not be too bad, in which case it will be possible to explore what I'm suggesting in the midst of their family, as opposed to in the absence of their family. So that is, I think, for each of us to know for ourselves. But if you feel that it's best to take a step back for a while, then of course that would be listen to yourself. Yes.
Because the main thing here is to live in the truth, Whether I'm going in to meet them or not, that's secondary. My only concern is that sometimes when we get pulled back into shape, it may not be that I'm reacting, but within myself, there could be feelings of like I'm not being able to do anything in the situation. There's some practical things that need doing with their cooperation. And if there's no cooperation, I may feel that that's taking my attention away from.
Okay. As I say, it's for each of us to know that each of our particular circumstances are different. So I can't go into the details, obviously, but the general principle remains the same. Be knowingly, understand and feel yourself as the presence of awareness. And as that presence of awareness, turn to meet whatever circumstance you find yourself in, be it a family situation or any other situation. Meet it as this presence of awareness with openness, absence of reactivity, absence of resistance. And that will allow the response you have to the situation to come from love and understanding rather than from reactivity. So I wish you the very best, Gayatri. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Gayatri. Can we? There's lots of people with questions. I believe that Mandy Adams, you came on first. Would you be able to identify yourself, turn your video on, and ask your question to Rupert?
Thank you. Rupert, can you hear me?
I can hear you and see you very well, yes.
Thank you. I wanted to thank you for making the time to speak to us today and for sharing your presence has really touched me and confirmed in me some of my experience. And if I may share a little, 2 weeks ago, my sister suddenly died of an unexpected and unknown heart condition. And in these 2 weeks, it has felt as if I've allowed myself, finally, I'm almost 50 and I have 3 young children, to feel all of the feelings which I don't think I've ever felt before. And from it, when you spoke about awareness, and it's not, doesn't go anywhere, I really feel her presence in me. And this place of being able to be honest and truthful within my family, my immediate family and my larger family, has felt this unveiling that you spoke about, this unveiling.
Yes.
Allowing more of myself to be visible, allowed, because I've held parts of myself through this grieving process, which I know will continue.
Yes.
And when you spoke today, it felt as if a blessing. And I wanted to really thank you.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Mandy. And I'm glad you said this, because this, as you have expressed very, very nicely, this, what is being suggested is in no way, does not imply that we do not feel or that we feel any less. In fact, rather the opposite. For so many people, feelings are unbearable. They're too painful. And we all are in a habit of suppressing them or repressing them in one way or another, through substances, through activities. But now you feel you are the space of awareness. Awareness can never be overwhelmed by a feeling. It cannot be destroyed by a feeling. So no need to resist anymore. So actually you feel, in this case, your grief for your sister, that you may have simply found too painful to experience before, but now so you feel it actually more fully than you did before. But the feeling of grief is also accompanied by this openness and peace. No need to escape from it. No need to repress it. No need to. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. Marie Welsh, you had a question for Rupert. Do you want to make yourself available on video?
Yeah.
Stop video. Stop.
Yeah, Marie.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear us.
Hello there. I'm actually going to speak. I'm under Marie's name, but my name's Paul, Marie's husband.
Okay. Hi, both of you.
Hello, Rupert. It's an honour to speak to you. My God.
Thanks.
I've been following this progress for probably about 12 years now. When I first met Marie, funny enough, and we started listening to The Power of Now. Then I went from there understanding that when you use your senses, you're escaping your mind, because at the time my mind used to race a lot. So that was great to start a liberation of mind gaps. Then I got onto other people, Guru, and then I found you, and your direct approach was really, I find it quite easy to get there, especially when I'm in nature. And it's as if there's no sort of fear. It's as if even death itself, nothing seems to worry you, because you're in a sense of, it's the knowing. And
Paul, can you formulate your question?
Sorry, I've just been diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
And basically, I've been researching it, and I decided to, rather than take the normal approach, I looked into the marijuana oil, and I took it last night for the very first time, just to experience what would happen, hoping it would cure the cancer. And during that spell, a sense of fear came over me. It's as if it triggered the ego off. So when I'm in a normal state of well-being, my ego is pretty much at bay, because I'm very aware of being aware. So I use my senses a lot. I normally start with sound. So the question is, I felt as if I got a feeling as if this isn't the right way to go.
All right.
So going by the intuition, I wasn't the knowing of knowing during that experience. So is that telling me that's the wrong way to go? I know it's a very question.
Okay. So thank you, Paul. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not qualified, and I know you realize this. I'm not qualified in any way to comment on how you approach your cancer. There are many different approaches, conventional and alternative, and it is for you and Marie and to explore all the different avenues and to take up whichever you feel is best. And of course, I wish you the very best in that process. What this diagnosis throws up is, of course, as you felt intensely last night, is fear. Yeah. And fear is, of course, the fear of death. Yeah. I'm going to die. I'm going to disappear. So the remedy for the fear of death, not the remedy for your cancer, but the remedy for the fear of death is to explore who we essentially are. Is what we essentially are going to die or disappear? Our thoughts, images, feelings, memories, activities, relationships, all of these are certainly going to leave us. But in fact, all of these leave us every night when we fall asleep. You're not afraid of falling asleep, are you? You enjoy falling asleep. We all enjoy falling asleep. Why? Precisely because everything leaves us. Our perceptions, our activities, our relationships, even our most treasured relationships, our feelings, our thought, everything leaves us alone, in peace, in deep sleep. That's why we look forward to sleep at night, because we are all alone at rest by ourselves. So it's not the loss of experience that we fear. What we fear is that we will disappear. But actually, that is we ourselves. So if we think, and more importantly, feel that our self is identical to this cluster of thoughts, images, feelings, activities, and relationships that we call a person, then we will inevitably believe and feel that when the person disappears, we will go with it.
Yeah.
And that is why this investigation is not only the direct path to peace and happiness, it is the ultimate, not only the ultimate cure for the fear of death, but more importantly, it is the best possible approach to our death, whenever it might happen. Because death inevitably means the loss of everything. Relationships, activities, feelings, perceptions, possessions, thought, everything will be taken away from us, apart from the one thing that can never be taken away from us, namely our being. And when our being is divested of all the qualities that it borrows from experience, our being is divested of its limitations, and so its unlimited being remains, infinite or unlimited being. And that is the nature of who we are now, although, as I said earlier, for most of us, who we are now is so thoroughly mixed up with the content of our experience that we don't feel our naked, unlimited being. So as death approaches, whenever it happens for each of us, the best possible approach for it is to feel our naked being, our unlimited being. And the fear of death is simply because we have allowed our being to become mixed up with the content of experience. So that is the gift of illness. And I don't mean to be facile, Paul, about your illness. Of course, it's very challenging for you, but the gift concealed in the challenge is to intensify this exploration of yourself so that you become firmly, whatever the outcome of your cancer, so that you become firmly established in your being and its innate peace. That is the best possible approach to life. It is the best possible approach to illness. It's the best possible approach to death. So I wish you both of you the very best in the coming months as you explore this point. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Can we now have Dora, Daniel? If you want to unmute yourself and make yourself known.
Yeah, I'm here. It's gonna be me, Daniel.
Can I just, Dan, hi. Can I just say something in general, not to you or not to anyone personally, but just in general? There's quite a lot of us on this meeting. I understand there are quite a few questions. So when we're asking questions, just give us just as much background information as we need to know for the context of the question, and try and clearly formulate your questions, keep them brief, and I'll try and do the same with my answers. So Dan, nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. So the question is coming from something I noticed recently during the lockdown, which kind of put into an extreme something that was noticed already before, which is that there is a state of mind or awareness present in my life, let's say linearly speaking, for more and more longer and longer periods of time, and I abide in that. And then at the same time, there is a part of me that wants to express itself through various ways. And during the lockdown, as I couldn't do my job. I'm a complementary therapist. This just went to more extreme. There is something in me that just slowed down